So the scenario is we have a new HR employee, Jane Smith. She needs HR partner access to all employees globally, but she should not have access to compensation or personal information of other HR employees. In order to achieve that, this particular employee needs to be part of a security group called intersection security group. So the steps to do it is we start with a generic security group that provide access to all data for all employees. So we can look for a security group. So contingent worker partner, employee self. So let's look at for a security group who has access to data for all employees. So let's take HR partner. So HR partner has information for compensation related details, and so on. So let's take the group for HR partner. So let's start with a generic security that provides all access to all data for employees. And we need to remove this group from compensation by org domain. Let's make a copy of this. Copy, create a group of the same type. And here, let's search for compensation. It says compensation by org domain. Also remove it from any other domains which you should not have access, such as personal data. So remove these permissions. We're going to call it ZT partner ISG. Now it says create an intersection group. So let's go to another task. And then it says create a security intersection group, select the security zone 7, include the field and select the region or org you want to exclude in the exclusion. For this example, exclude global human resources and suborg. Add the intersection group to the domains, compensation by org, which you should have access to, and view the employee. So first, it says the first step to do is maintain assignable roles. Okay, so let's start with that. Maintain assignable roles. CT, HR, partner, non. Cost center region, and supervisory. So cost center region. So cost center hierarchy, region, and supervisory is selected. What kind of role is it? Like, is it going to be a leader for, if it's a supervisory organization or a cost center, is a role a leader role or is it a supporting role? Like manager could be a leader role, HR partner, compensation partner, benefits administrator could be a supporting role. So if you want to specify exactly what this role and where this role can be used, so for example, if it's a supporting role and we would like it, say, to assign it to a manager who is the leader of that support, that will not function correctly. In a way, yes, in some situations, but not in every situation. Like, for example, cost center manager is basically within a manager organization, you can have a separate cost center manager, but he's not a manager of that supervisory organization, but he's responsible for all the financial upkeep. And that could be a leader for all the cost centers across all the domains. I think adding people, the HR partner can do that as well. Adding people, maintaining the organizations, creating supports, creating supports, divide the organization. So a leader or the owner on a leadership role has more privileged access than the supporting role. Leader can also have a supporting role simultaneously. I added GT HR partner role, cost center, hierarchy, region, and supervisory. I added all these, but where did it go? So we have our role. That's what we're going to call it. We have created our security group that made a copy of it. And now we have to create the intersection group. Create a new role, which we created, ZT partner, HR partner, non-HR role, and enable it for cost center hierarchy, region, and supervisory. Let's go to the next step. Enter these values for the role, name, HR partner, non-HR, cost center, and supervisory organization, assigned by security administrator. So we have done cost center, region, supervisory, cost center, and supervisory, and assigned by security groups or security administrator, and it is right here. I've added region here as well. As per the instructions, it just says cost center and supervisory. So I'm going to remove the region from here. So here's our assignable role. Then it says make a copy of HR partner group that we have made here. Check the copy permission and that we have done. Then create a new intersection group called non-HR partner, non-HR. So we are using this, so let's rename it. So we've created a security group. Next it says go to the view domain and person data, person information. Person data, that's the parent policy, then personal information is the child policy. Person data, personal information. Second policy it's asking is worker data compensation by organization. So we have our two domains open. Use a view domain task to search for these two domains that we have done. It says go to domain and edit security policy. So we go to this magnifying glass domain, or we can go from here, edit security policy permissions. This HR partner, add the security group here. So our security group is just give it the view and modify access. So we go here, add the policy here. Let's go here in worker data composition by organization, view and modify, add a security group here. So we've added it, ZTA partner HR, non-HR ISG in the worker data composition by organization, and then person data, person information. Let's verify it's added. After that, we have to activate our pending security. So all the person data and worker data, just all the compensation data, adding, managing, then candidate data, compensation change bonus, and organization data as well. I want to verify that it has the worker data in it as well. So then we have activated our pending security policy. Now we need to assign that role to a particular person. So in GMS, I can sign in as Teresa Joy Banks, Jake Lee, VP Sales, Max Rachel Knight, she's the CFO. Let's see if we can assign this group to Maximilian for our testing. Because we can sign in GMS as Maximilian Schneider. So we need to go to assign roles. So let us go to Maximilian's organization. He's the Chief Operations Officer, and let's look at his security group. So he has executive diversity group, employee self, employee self. So he doesn't have any kind of HR partner roles existing on his account, right? So most of them are employee self, and then there's a diversity group which has level management, role supervisory, interdisciplinary, multiple contextual group. So I don't see any personal data or compensation data available to him in any of the intersection group. So we can go to his supervisory organization. We assign to Chief Operating Officer the role. I think there's one step that we have missed, and assignable role to be added here in the security group that we created as a copy. So ZT partner HR, non-HR ISG. Once we created a copy, made the changes, and then we have to assign that role to the security group as well. So the roles access levels can be defined by the assignable role, the security group for assignable role. And also, we need to exclude from the intersection security group who we want to exclude. So domains, we are done. So I'll close them. Signable role, we are okay. We are done. Oh, that was a role-based security group. So we need to create an intersection security group as well. So intersection ZTHR partner known HR intersection security group 1-CT. So security groups to include, then we can add the security group. And then we want to exclude global human operations, HR services. So this intersection security group has the ZT partner, HR, non-HR intersection group that we created, the role-based. The assignable role is ZT partner, HR, non-HR role. Let's rename this. This is not an intersection security group. This is a role-based group. So I'm putting all these in brackets just to identify the connections. So role-based SG. What I'm saying is security groups will include ZT partner, non-HR, role-based security group, exclude human resources, HR department, HR operations, applies to current and subordinate organizations. And the intersection security group name is going to be one HR partner. We already have assigned this, so this will not be available. So we have added this CT partner HR role. So it has for security groups at this non-HR role. And this should be applied. So this has been applied to Maximilian's organization. So let's try to log in as Maximilian and say, let's go as Maximilian. Let's search for Logan's organization because she's in HR. So Logan's organizations are summary. It's human resources. So we have removed human resources. No, we don't have human resources. Oh, we do. You have two of them. So this is Teresa's bank's owner slogan and the other human resources. And this is also Logan as well. Sure. So anything related to HR, let's add it here. And human resources, anything. Applies to current and subordinate organizations. Now, it should not show the compensation tab for human resources people. It's still showing. So as per the exercise, search for HR user, notice a screenshot of the employee in the compensation menu is not present. I think our approach for logging in as different people is not working correctly. Let me set this up again in my own time. And then once I have set it up, then I will display to you as to how it's set up again and probably the tenant where I can start proxy in. So we will go away from GMS for a short time and try to do it again. In the meantime, you all should practice and see and try to follow the instructions here and see what you can create. So in the next session, I'll have the security group created, tested on a separate tenant that is separate from GMS, where we are able to start proxy. The next slide is for data masking, and the task name is enable disable data masking. Select Workday account for whom you want to data mask for. For example, let me close the other tabs for now. The task name is enable disable data masking. Enable data masking for Workday account. So Workday account, whenever their support account logs in into the tenant, they would not be able to see the data. Say, let's try to do it for max. See, million as well. Select the Workday account from whom you want the data mask for. Say, we added Maximilian. Allow file access for Workday account for these mask only for uploaded files. Disable for internal user of proxy account. All right. So we can disable the data masking for internal user of proxy account. We can do it by either Workday account for individual people or for at a level of security groups as well. Is integration output mask? No. Can masking be used in production? Yes. Okay, let's press OK. Let's go back to our person Maximilian. So now we've logged into Maximilian. So in our GMS tenant earlier screen, we enable data masking for Maximilian Schneider. So let us see what effect he would have. Say, let's search for Logan. So now he can see the pictures. In the job summary details, a lot of information is missing. Let's go to compensation. So compensation information is available. Let's go to say uh, personal notes. So this person does not have personal data anymore for Logan, like name, such as View contact information. So you can see the social security or say contact information. So let's try to remove from him and then see. So now the picture is visible. So I go to contact information. I see support role is now available. It was not there before. Compensation or personal, still there. Job summary, it's still there. Benefits, they're showing. Contact, we already checked out. I want to see if, let's try to do it for Logan because she has most of the access. Let's do it for Yuli Bowles. Yuli. Personal, so she has IDs added. Yes, so she could be a good candidate. But can we log in as Yuli? So we can log in as Teresa Joy Banks. Okay, let's try to do it for Joy Banks because she has most of the accesses as an HR admin. To begin with, her picture is not there. If I go to her personal information, see the date of birth has been masked, age has been masked, ID information has been marked, identification has been masked. Now we're currently logged in as Joy Banks. But say, for example, if I look at Julie from here in personal information, logged in as Logan McNeil, who does not have it masked. So her date of birth is showing, gender is showing. Here the gender is showing, date of birth and age is missing. Okay, data masking capability is for the tenant UI and for integrations. But your HIPAA and GDPR requirements are covered in when you're sharing information from your tenant to other service providers, and that is covered in the integrations. So your integrations is set up in such a way that when you're sharing information from your Workday tenant to an external or third party, for example, you're sending your information to your benefit provider through your integration connector. At that level, the integration connector would be compliant with HIPAA or GDPR, or you have to make sure that the compatibility for GDPR requirements for transmission of data is end-to-end secured. But with your benefit provider, you would need to provide these information such as date of birth, age, social security. So you have to provide personal information in order for them to be able to be part of a policy or a program. It is all the masking can be used in integrations as well to an extent. GDPR and HIPAA adherence to the policies are also covered under integrations as well. So data masking is not the only tool to comply with GDPR and HIPAA rules. So here, as we can see an example, that even for the tenant, if you need to give access to areas where there is personal information that is compliant to GDPR or HIPAA rules, then you can set it up for internal Workday users as well.
Okay.
That, for example, this user or this security group of users cannot see the social security numbers. or cannot see the date of birth. And say, for example, I'm currently logged in as Joy Banks and I cannot see any documents, but if I'm logged in as Julie Bowles, I may have some, see, I have the passport information and the legal name DocuSign. I believe that we can set it up, say data masking. So enable data masking for account and then sensitive data fields used for masking.
Okay.
So if I run this report, there are 320 sensitive items that can be masked or marked or used for data masking for enable and disable. So there's bank information, healthcare information, place of birth, and so on. Personal identifier, or I can go here, look at the filters. So it has text ID, person global identifier, date of birth, place of birth, healthcare, password, passphrase, and bank account details. That is currently enabled for data masking. If I go to benefits, so I go to dependents, I cannot see the age of the dependent as Joy Banks. The document access, personal data, maybe Joy Banks doesn't have security access to user personal data. So that is why it's not showing, but the data masking will be used to replace existing values with asterisks or corrected. Documents are not related to it. See the information of personal information or whatever we have selected or added in the data masking
Okay.
can be masked. And masking
Okay.
is only to replace the characters with a separate character which hides it. Inside a PDF, I don't think so, no, because that's not a Workday object. It's an attachment object. Don't think so, because then you need to have an intelligent engine which can process images or attachments. And attachment times could be JPG, PNG, PDF, Word, Excel. Uh, the list is unlimited. What kind of data attachments you can have. And for that, you need to have a processing engine which can translate that data into text and then apply the masking on that text within that document. So I don't think Workday does that. I don't think so. No. DocuSign is a process where you get digital signatures on a generated document. Okay, if the HR partner has access to view documents for a person, then he would be able to see the documents and the digital DocuSign signature as well. But that is not related to data masking. PI data, or if it's related to GDPR or HIPAA. For example, if you need a certain security group or certain users not to be able to see the personal data for, say, the patients, maybe it's this standard is being used for a hospital. And for that, you would need, you would want to maybe remove certain security groups or include certain security groups where the data is masked. So you don't give the access to all the employees, or you can set it up by security as well, that what sections they can see. And if you have to show a section where the personal information is showing and included in the child or parent policy, but then still you need to mask the data, then the data masking can be enabled for those kind of scenarios within the tenant. For example, let me reiterate, in a case where you need to give access to a set of users where you enable a policy which is a parent or a child policy which has confidential information that applies to, say, GDPR or HIPAA, and you would like to mask that data, then you get into a situation where you have to give that policy access or domain business process or functional area access for child and parent policy to a security group. But then some of the data you would like to mask in that access. That is where data masking can come in handy. for that particular situation. But generally speaking, you set up your security in such a way that you don't give them access to those areas where they are not required to have access to that data, such as personal information. Is integration output masked in data masking? No, it is not covered under data masking. Can masking be used in production? Yes, you can use it, but then it will prevent the user from updating the data, in addition, not to be able to view it. See, your non-prod environment, such as sandbox or preview, will get refreshed from production every week. Like
Mm-hmm.
preview maybe every month, but production as a schedule gets refreshed from sandbox from production gets refreshed every weekend.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So even if you do masking on the sandbox environment, it will get overridden every Friday, because if you don't have it in production, it will be overridden in sandbox every week. So all your settings policies will come from production and then replace what you have done in your sandbox environment at the end of the week. So the way to do that is, say we log in as Joy Banks here. Let me log in as, so when I select data masking, so I can select the user accounts who I want the masking to be enabled, or I can select the security groups that I would like the masking to happen for. So all the users in the security group, for them, the data will be masked. Okay, so if I recall from my last slide deck, let me answer this question in a little bit more detail. So data masking substitute dummy values for actual values, da 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 da. Workday enables you to mask identity theft protection data in your tenant. You can mask data by users or also mask files uploaded before a selected time. You can use the data masking feature in your sandbox or production tenant, but because this feature does not allow updating, use it with caution when enabling it in production. And what is excluded? So business form printing, integration, schedule reports, access to documents in my report, and solutions. These are excluded from data masking. Integrations, when you send it to third-party vendors, they have their own set of HIPAA, GDPR, and whatever the security compliance that is needed for that connector. It can have that. Your schedule reports, you cannot mask the data, and access to documents in my reports, you cannot do that. Solution is something when you are migrating from a particular solution like a report or a business process or a custom object from sandbox to production or production to sandbox. So that data
Okay.
cannot be masked. Data masking outbound data, report shown in the user interface, exported report data, and integration output. This cannot be masked. So continuing on, another kind of notification or warning. So watch out real world security issues. When deactivating supervisory organizations, make sure to retain their role assignments. Otherwise, you will lose access to the previously termed worker records, which are part of the deactivated organization and not in any active org. So whenever you're deactivating a supervisory organization, retain the role assignments. I mean, you can reassign it to somebody else, but keep those roles. So for by deactivating a supervisory organization, for example, Sam was manager for say 5 people in his support, and Sam has left the company, and all the people are moving to different organizations. So then you would like to deactivate that support. But all the roles that were assigned to Sam and his employees, have them reassigned to someone else, either as a superior manager or somebody else. Otherwise, you will lose the previously terminated worker records, which are part of the deactivated organization. Generally, best practice is that when you deactivate, when you remove a person uh, from an organization and say that manager is no longer there, I would not deactivate any of the org. I'll keep it empty, so there will be no members in it. It will continue to sit in my subordinate organization under the superior, and I'll let it stay there. So it'll be an empty organization. So a couple of tips. So keep in mind the following practices when determining requirements for your security configuration during live and production. Leverage the default security groups provided by Workday. The more security groups, the more maintenance you have. Start with user-based security groups for your administrators as they set up and configure the system for their functional areas with unconstrained access. Layer in role-based constrained security groups for your support and leadership staff. Assign roles at the highest node in the hierarchy to take advantage of inheritance when using current organization and unassigned subordinate access rights. Keep efficiency in mind. The more complex the constraint on target access, example, intersection security, the more filtering and greater potential impact on performance. Consider each functional area for any security group type constraints or limitations. For example, some security policies do not support constrained security groups, and some areas of Workday do not support intersection where the entire organization is assumed. So you can run the security exception report to diagnose issues before and after each update at a minimum. Integration system security groups. So run the view integration system reports, select payroll interface like full extract file and click OK. Notice a Workday account specified for that integration. So click the Workday accounts related actions and select security profile, view security groups. Click the payroll interface system security group. So what is a security group type and who are the members of the security group? So let's run this. Let's see, view integration system. Payroll interface full file extract. The Workday account here is IAS underscore PI underscore user. Click the Workday accounts related action and select security profile. Security profile and then view security groups. The questions I asked were, click the payroll interface security group and what is a security group type? So this is a integration system security group, unconstrained. These are the users of the security group. So integration system security group and who are the members of the security group. So these are all integration users within the tenant. IS detonates integration system. So even if I say Workday account, view. So this is a Workday account run for integrations. Click the payroll interface domain security policy. View integration systems. Payroll interface, full file extract. Click the payroll interface domain security policy. Where is the domain security policy for this? Security. So security analysis for securable item. Let's look at the domain security policy for this. Who are the members of the payroll security group? Domain security policy. I'm not seeing the domain security policy here. System ID is payroll interface. Workday account. System name is full extract. Security profile. So let's look at view domain. The value of securable integration. The members of these security groups have access to web services such as get external employee payroll data, tax withholding data. These web services are needed by the integration systems. Payroll interface domain security policies.